What's good, y'all? What is up? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. For those of you first time to the stream, appreciate you tuning in now. If you haven't subbed already, go ahead and sub to the channel. If you don't want to sub yet, you want to see what this is about, then stick around and take a listen. You can sub after. No harm, no foul. But appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm going to be doing this every week now. I think until the season starts, it'll be Football Friday. So every Friday this week, we're doing the offensive outlook for the Jaguars. Next week will be the defensive. So the best way, first of all, actually, if you want to hop in chat here the whole time, put questions in there, whatever kind of football questions you got, Jaguar related or not. End of the stream, I answer all of them. I'll answer all of them for you, so stick around for that. But yeah, let's kick this off. And so I'm going to give you my expectations for the offensive unit. Been a lot of changes, but I'm going to start going back to 2020. So I don't think there was a worse team offensively in the league. You could probably argue the Jets. But I'm going to list off all these rankings for different stat categories as a team, and it's quite abysmal. So total yards, 28th. Points per game, 30th. Passing yards, 21st. Passing touchdowns, 21st. Rushing yards, 29th. Believe it or not, even though you had a 1,000-yard rusher, that's quite literally all we had was a 1,000-yard rusher. Rushing touchdowns, dead last with 9. Penalties, second in the league. So, I mean, we're good at something, and it's being good at nothing. Penalty yards, first. So, I mean, let's go. Completion percentage, 28th. Passer rating, 26th. Turnovers, 26th. Like, the worst, 26th worst. So, we had 25 last year. And then another small one is 25-yard receptions. We were 30th. We only had 20. I wish I forgot the other two that are 31st and 32nd that are dead last. But, only 20 big plays from our receivers last year. And I attribute that to the quarterback play. And heading into the 2021 season, there are a lot of changes. I'll run through all of them and what they mean to the team, how they affect the outcome of this offensive unit, how they hopefully will improve it. But we did lose a few guys. I mean, we didn't really lose much in free agency, at least not any big contributors besides Keelan Cole. He was a 55-catch guy, 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was our second leading receiver behind DJ Chark. Had more than Laviska Shenault, more receptions and yards and touchdowns. So, I mean, he was a very, although we were 1-15, he was a key piece to the offense. So I was upset about losing him. I knew we probably would because he just was a cheap, cut, But he was starting to come on. He had the really down year in 2018 after his Air Cole one-handed catch, He just kind of fell off a cliff. I'm missing these slides, but so, yeah. Keelan Cole started to come on. We also lost Chris Conley in free agency to a division rival at that, to Houston. But, they have no wide receivers. So even though he was dropping balls for us, I'm fine if he goes somewhere else and starts dropping balls, especially within the division. But, yeah, so as you can see, we were a terrible, I would rate us as a bottom 5 offense at best. We're probably bottom 2 with the Jets. In terms of production, we were 1-15. We had the worst record, yeah, but we did have some close games. We were 1-6 in one-possession games, so we were hanging in there, but we weren't at the same time. But yeah, to turn this whole thing around, there has to be a lot of changes. There has to be a lot of additions, whether it's via free agency or the draft or even coaching staff, and we addressed all of that, quite heavily. And I feel like all the moves we made in the offseason so far have favored the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we were terrible. It was the worst defensive unit we've had in franchise history, but I'll get to that next week. For the offensive unit, we had some key additions, and the most obvious is Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, our 2 first-round picks. Trevor, the generational talent, yada yada yada. Travis, ACC record holder for rushing yards, scrimmage yards, and touchdowns as well. So you're getting a pretty seasoned guy, both of which are very accomplished, playing together. But you take Trevor's almost 67% completion percentage in college through 40 games with 10,000 passing yards, 90 touchdowns, and only 17 picks. I mean, we had 16 picks last year amongst all quarterbacks that played. And that's in 16 games. We had 1 pick a game. Trevor's over here, 17 picks in 40 games. He's having a pick not even every other game. So it's already a big step up if he can just kind of mimic some of that production at the next level with us. And then in free agency, we also got a big name, Marvin Jones, from the Lions. And he's on going into his ninth season. In the last 3 years, he has over 25 receiving touchdowns. He has 2 900-yard years in the last 3. He probably could have had 3 straight, but he missed, I think, 3 or 4 games in 2019. But he has back-to-back years with 9 receiving touchdowns. So he's that guy that can put points on the board. He's going to convert. He's going to be someone to find. And he's going to be a great target for Trevor, not to mention the people we already still have, like DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault. And then now he has his old teammate Travis. So, I mean, like I said, Marvin Jones has gone for almost 140 receptions, about 1,800 yards, and 18 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons in only 29 games. And this season is longer. It's 17 games now. Will every player play all 17? Probably not. Injuries and just load management like it's the NBA. But I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's high upside. It's definitely an upgrade from Keelan Cole. You lose a guy that records 600 yards for you and was starting to come on. You get Marvin Jones, who wasn't a cheap signing, but we weren't breaking out the Brinks trucks for him. So I'm not too upset about that. And he gives DJ Chark a compliment on the other side. That is, I mean, it's going to help him be free from the CB1s in the league that are going to try and one-on-one matchup DJ Chark. But last year we didn't have anyone opposite him besides Keelan Cole, who was a threat consistently to where DJ Chark wasn't being locked up or double teamed. So he's going to open up a lot for both people, both himself and everyone else in the offense, because he draws attention. You have to account for Marvin Jones. And the big thing about that is Darrell Bevell, who he most recently was the offensive coordinator for the Lions with Marvin Jones, so he has that familiarity with him. Marvin Jones knows what the offense is going to be like. He knows how he's going to fit in. And if he just had back-to-back 9 touchdown seasons in Darrell Bevell's, well, 1 really, because Bevell wasn't in there in 20. He was up until 2020. But in the last 2 seasons, he has 9 touchdowns each season. Why wouldn't that translate to us? And that'd be huge. But he also was the Seahawks offensive coordinator from 2011 to 2018. He was one of the few, I read up on this, he was one of the few scouts at Russell Wilson's pro day or whatever it was, his combine, that actually scouted him, that were actually thinking, this guy he would have potential. And he eventually beat out Matt Flynn for the starting job in Seattle, if you remember that. And it's all history from there, a Super Bowl ring, 2 Super Bowl appearances. So he scouted and coached Wilson, and you see what Wilson's become. So I like what Trevor could get from Darrell Bevell with the experience he has developing a quarterback and also with developing the wide receiver. He's probably going to target more than most. And then we also acquired Brian Schottenheimer as a part of the coaching staff. He was the offensive coordinator after Darrell Bevell left Seattle, actually, so from 2018 to 2020. And in 2018, his first year, it's weird enough because Brian Schottenheimer is now going to be known as the passing game coordinator. But from what I've seen, his strength is the running game. So rushing yards in 2018, he was first in the league with over, I think it was 160 rushing yards averaged a game. Granted, they had like a 3-headed monster that year. And then 2019, they were 4th. So they stayed up there in the league, and they were kind of middle of the pack with Russell Wilson at quarterback in terms of passing yards per game. But nonetheless, as offensive coordinator, they flourish in Seattle, both with Bevel and with Schottenheimer. So you bring two offensive minds into the building like that not only are well equipped with who they have on the team now, but also they're trusted by the likes of Urban Meyer, the head coach. So, and speaking of Urban Meyer, obviously this guy is the mastermind behind it all. It's Shad Khan, yes, but then Shad Khan's giving Urban free reign. Shad Khan wants to be more involved this year, correct, but he also is giving him the keys, to the franchise. So Urban's running it how he wants to run it. He was drafting who he wanted to draft, and he's going to, run a tight ship, and he's going to get the best out of everyone. He was quoted saying, between A and B, better be everything you got. So from start of the game to the end, you better give everything you have, or else you can't be part of this team. And his whole slogan now is own it. You want to own the logo. You want to own being a part of this team. And this kind of gives me chills when I hear him say it, but from the first episode, the first chapter of The Hunt, which is a series the Jaguars organization is doing, a series of videos, Urban says, you're going to see a team play very fast. That's what he wants. He wants a team that plays very fast. That's why you get the likes of Travis Etienne or Trevor Lawrence. You got to have Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's the whole focal point of the offense now, but someone like Travis Etienne, he was targeting Kadarius Toney, a speedster that is just like a Swiss Army knife you can use in any way you want. So that's the expectation right there. And you're going to see a team that plays very fast. He's going to go back to those college days where at Florida he was just running people dead. Not in terms of his own players, but he was just tearing up defenses with speed. With Jeff Dempsey and Chris Rainey, like just those combos, So who knows what happens, but what I expect, and I'm giving 4 points here, protecting Trevor, for sure. Not so much offensive line, because he believes in the offensive line, and he mentioned that when he became coach, when he was named the head coach, but also getting the ball out of Trevor's hand quick. That's one thing we didn't do a lot last year. Minshew he's a viable backup quarterback, but he always tried to find the easy way out, which ended up being the hard way out. He would try and dance around in the pocket, try and find the home run ball, be the hero, or he would just pass on his reads and just scramble, and then he'd be sacked because he realized, I'm not the quickest guy here. I'm not at Washington State anymore. So getting the ball out of his hands for one, but not just out of his hands like throw it away, but into the hands of the playmakers. And there's a lot of playmakers on this team. I named them already, but Travis Etienne, Marvin Jones, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, hell, Tim Tebow maybe. Who knows? Don't quote me on that, but who knows what Tim Tebow will do or what he's going to be capable of this upcoming season. So protecting Trevor is big. Outside of the offensive line, it's getting the ball out of his hands, saving him from those extra hits. He's smart enough to where he's not going to hold on to the ball. He has that mental timer. We've seen that in college, and he knows how to tuck it in and run. But protecting Trevor the best we can, and so he can perform the best, and we can keep him on the field. Because we're not winning. We're not going to have the best chance to win if he's on the sideline. And that's just a fact. Another thing to expect, and I kind of tie it back to Urban's roots at Florida or Ohio State with his offenses, but a bit of a mystery. You show multiple packages, multiple sets, you have multiple weapons, and you come out in multiple alignments, confuse defenses, make it a mystery. Jay Gruden, I was excited for him to be the offensive coordinator and bring in Tyler Eifert, one of his own, and Gardner Minshew in the play action is going to be great. It would really complement him well. First 2 weeks, it was great. We won a game, and then we almost beat Tennessee in Tennessee, which we haven't done since 2013. But then the play calling just kind of narrowed out. It just kind of it's like he used his whole playbook the first 2 weeks, and he just couldn't be creative anymore. Granted, Minshew limited the playbook with his arm talent. He was missing DJ Chark a lot, where DJ Chark was targeted 93 times last year, and he had 58 receptions to show for it. I mean, so 35 times you throw it towards him, and he cannot catch it, because he didn't drop the ball much. He might have had 4 or 5 drops, but so that's another 30. Another 30 balls that just were nowhere near him, or he couldn't catch. It's just not in his radius. So getting Trevor definitely helps DJ Chark out tremendously. But like I said, mystery, it's going to be a lot. And there's already the mystery of Tim Tebow. There's the mystery of Travis Etienne. How are we going to use him? Everyone's reveling over, oh my God, we're trying him out at wide receiver in training camp. What are we doing? Yada, yada, yada. Trevor's the only guy at training camp. He's coming off that labrum surgery on his left shoulder. They're not going to have him running handoffs full speed, into Travis Etienne, who's just a ball of muscle, and risk injuring that shoulder again and set his return, like his rehab timetable, back even further when he's already far along. I think he's I want to say he's 3 months in, 4 months in after post-surgery, because he did his pro day hella early, like in February. So he's getting past 3 months now. But yeah, so the mystery of everything, I can't wait to see. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be different than what we've ever seen, because we haven't had a franchise quarterback like this, and nor have we had. I don't think we've had these kind of weapons before. The closest thing we had was Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, and that was in 2014. Or 2015. And that was Blake Bortles at quarterback, and it was garbage time touchdowns the whole time. So this is going to be points that matter. It's going to be plays that matter. It's going to be throws that matter that we have to make. And yeah, it's just going to turn into the being a more efficient offense. And that brings me to my next point of what to expect. So first we got protecting Trevor. That's got to be the biggest goal in mind for Urban and the offense. Protecting him, keeping him on his feet. You don't want to end up in another Joe Burrow situation where you tear your knee up and you're out for the season. Especially, he was another first overall pick. You don't want to ruin that asset that early in his career, because who knows how people bounce back from injuries like that. And then mystery, mixing it up, surprising and confusing defenses, keep them on their toes, keep them honest. Who knows? Have a well-balanced attack. And the third one is efficiency. So going back to last year's stats, 28th in the league in completion percentage, and that's amongst Gardner Minshew, Mike Glennon, and Jake Luton all playing some snaps. 62.8%. Not great, not terrible, but it is bottom of the league, bottom 5. And Trevor in college was a 66.6% completion percentage passer. So you just, simple math, and I'm not saying everything's going to translate from college to the NFL. That's not what I'm saying. But you take that percentage and put it in last year, and the amount of attempts we had, we get 23 more completed passes. 23 more completed passes with Trevor's completion percentage. And win more games, possibly, I mean, like I said, we were 1-6 in one possession games. 1-6. 3 against playoff teams. So we weren't, I don't want to tell people we weren't terrible last year, because our record is all people see. We had the number 1 overall pick, but we were in ball games. We just couldn't make the plays, defensively mainly. But there was times where we needed a quarterback to step up, make a routine throw, or hit this guy in stride, or hit him right out of his break, and it couldn't happen. Trevor has a zip on the ball. He has that thing on a rope anytime he throws it. So even just 23 more completed passes this season, which is 1 or 2 a game, those could be the ones that give you the game. So who knows? So efficiency is going to be a big thing, and that goes back to protecting Trevor and have him getting the ball out of his hands. His completion percentage might skyrocket because he might be dumping the ball off a lot to start, because he's easing his way into the offense. But Urban wants it to be fast, but I don't think he wants it to be past the point of finesse, where he can't finesse his way to score. He can't beat everyone with speed. Yes, the NFL is a lot faster game than college, and definitely high school. Everyone's bigger, faster, and stronger. In fact, they're the biggest, fastest, and strongest there is that to offer. But you have to be efficient. You can't, like I said with Jay Gruden, you can't just throw the whole playbook out week 1 and 2 and then have nothing to lean on the remaining 15 weeks. So it's gonna be a lot to this offense, and there's only so much we can say. I mean, OTAs really just started. We don't really have we have nothing until the preseason, so it's gonna be boring until then. We can only speculate. But protecting Trevor, keeping the offensive mystery to keep the defenses honest, and being efficient, just being fast and efficient. And that all that you do those three things, you're going to lead to points. That's my last point. Is points. You can score in a variety of ways. You know, who knows how they use Travis Etienne, but you heard he led the ACC all time in scrimmage yards. Like, he can catch it out of the backfield. And then our red zone percentage last year was 31st. Not last year. In 2019, it was 31st. In 2020, it was 14th. So it went up, but it's still not where we need it to be because there's a lot of misplays, missed opportunities all over the field. And we had 36 total touchdowns last year, counting one defensive, a pick six by Joe Schobert. But 36 in 16 games is not a lot. You already know we were 30th in points per game. I think it was under 20 points per game we were scoring while we were allowing like 34. So I'd like to see how we score in a variety of ways. We have I want to see how Laviska Shenault is used in Urban Meyer's offense. We saw how it was last year. He was more of a yards after catch kind of guy, breaking tackles, the tough wide receiver that gets those tough yards for you, which I love. I can't help but love watching that guy play. And when he has the ball in his hands, he's just going to shake off tacklers like it's nothing. And then you have Travis Etienne. How are we going to use him? Line him up out wide? Is he going to be a jet sweep guy? Are we going to line him up behind the line, like behind Trevor? Like, is he going to be a running back purely? Or we don't know. But he's going to be that weapon as well. And DJ Chark, he was missed so much last year. And DJ, I'm so sorry because I saw it every single game when Gardner or Jake or Mike Glennon missed you down the field when you were open, when you had your man beat, and any other quarterback would love to see their wide receiver that open. I'm sorry that we missed you. I'm sorry that we underthrew you, didn't see you, overthrew you, or just flat out sat there too long and the route was cut off. That's going to change this year. Trevor's going to help you out a little bit, I like to think. And we're going to score some points, man. I mean, it's only up from here for the offense. So now I'm going to move into my bold predictions for the year. And this is a short episode because, like I said, there's not a whole lot I can really talk about. We can talk about news and stuff, but when I keep it just Jaguars right now, it being the offseason, it's kind of tough. So I had to come up with this topic myself. So I'm doing the defensive outlook next week. I'm sorry, not next year. But yeah, so for today, I'm doing the bold predictions. And this is how I'm going to close it. But I have 3 bold predictions. And it's going to go quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So if you watched the last episode, or even if you participated in the polls I did on Instagram, on my personal Instagram, I was asking things like, what's more likely to happen for Trevor stat-wise, or Travis Etienne stat-wise, and so on and so forth. And with Trevor, I asked, is it more likely he throws for 4,000 yards or passes for 30 touchdowns as a rookie? Justin Herbert did both those last year. He, in fact, set the rookie records with 4,436 passing yards and 31 touchdowns. And my bold prediction is I think Trevor breaks both those records. All due respect to Justin Herbert, that guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, he's in the AFC West, so he's probably not going to get past Mahomes too many times in his career. But that's my bold prediction for Trevor is he breaks those records. He sets those new rookie records. I think it's attainable. You have not only just one more game, so you have 17 regular season games, but you have a way better offense than what Justin Herbert had. He had Keenan Allen, and that was pretty much it. Well, Hunter Henry was there. Hunter Henry was banged up. Austin Eckler was there, but he was banged up. I would know. He was my second overall draft pick in fantasy. But I think Trevor breaks those records, and there's so many tools, not only what he has that he comes into the building with, but in terms of all the weapons and all the coaching staff, like he's walking into probably the best situation he could as a rookie quarterback. Not saying he couldn't go to like New England and be just well off too, but in terms of the people that had a shot at him, like the Jets, he goes to the Jets. They don't have anything for him. I mean, they did help Zach Wilson out by getting, one of the best guards in the class, a wide receiver, but I mean, their offense ain't gonna touch ours. Like, it's not even gonna be close. Now, my next bold prediction is with the running backs. Okay, I'm just not even like talking about. All right, so, as Is my camera delayed a little bit? I feel like it is. But my next bold prediction is with ETN and James Robinson. I like to think they'll each reach 1,000 scrimmage yards, similar to what Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt do year to year. Part of the reasoning behind that is because of ETN's pass catching ability. It doesn't really require him being in the backfield, so you can line both of them up, in the same formation. They can both be on the field at the same time, and be a threat that way. He had 85. ETN he's the one that had 85 catches for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons at Clemson, and that was in 27 games. So, I mean, he could eclipse 500 receiving yards and 500 rushing yards. I don't doubt it, and I don't think we're going to run James Robinson into the ground. He could still be a 1,000-yard rusher because literally he was the only thing last year, so he was facing probably – I never looked at the numbers because it's probably not comparable to, like, when we had Leonard Fournette, but to, like, be paired with Blake Bortles. But he probably was facing a lot of 8-man boxes, but he was breaking tackles. So, I mean, he was getting his own. He had averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He's going to get his. So I think they combine each of them for 1,000 scrimmage yards. Granted, I think ETN's going to have a little bit half and half, and Robinson's probably going to have a full, rushing load, but who knows? That's my bold prediction. I could see it happening, though. I don't think it's that bold when you think about it. My last one, this one is probably the boldest. The Jags will have 3 900-yard receivers. I wanted to say 1,000, but that was too high. I want to say 750, but that was too low. So 900. And so I looked it up, and the last time that happened was with the 2019 Chargers. Phillip Rivers throwing the ball to Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams. Granted, one of those is a running back, but the Jags, they have, I can't stress how many weapons they have now. And the outlook for me for this offensive season, like, I am beyond excited just to be in the stands, let alone watching the game and the fireworks, man. Just like literally and physically, like figuratively, just the fireworks of scoring. Fireworks go off of the big screens, but also like we're lighting up the scoreboard, literally. But I think it's going to be DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, and Laviska Shenault. I think they both play, or all 3 of them play, all 17 games. Granted, I know I can't ask that. It'll probably be 16 or 15 for both. But Laviska is the yards after catch guy. DJ Chark is the big play guy. And Marvin Jones is Mr. Reliable. I mean, and he can score too. So he's averaged over 900 yards, in the last 2 seasons. Marvin Jones has. DJ Chark had a 1,000-yard season 2 years ago that, went unnoticed by the league, it seemed. He was like a 4th reserve Pro Bowler or something. And then Laviska Shenault, if he gets his targets, which I think he will, 900 yards. I mean, he had 600 last year off of, I believe it was 50 receptions. It wouldn't take him much more. It'd take him probably 20 more catches to get those other 300 yards. Maybe. That's 15 yards a catch, but he's a yards after catch guy. He can make those plays. There's going to be a lot of big plays from the offense, so we're going to eliminate being 30th in the league in those 25-yard receptions. I think DJ is going to have an insane year. I wanted to do a breakdown of each individual player and say, he's going to have this many yards, this many touchdowns, receptions, whatever. And when I was doing that, I was like, that's great and all. I don't want to get too in-depth. I'm just going to give you a bold prediction rather than a stat line. And my stat line, though, for DJ was, I believe I had it at like 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Like, it sounded crazy. Allen Robinson has done that before, but I feel like he can be that big play threat, and he was missed so much last year. He's probably just drooling, at training camp and OTAs, looking over at Trevor, just sling the ball, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to get that. But yeah, so my 3 bold predictions. Trevor breaks all the rookie records. ETN and James Robinson will both eclipse 1,000 scrimmage yards, and the Jaguars will have 3 900-yard receivers. Now, you put all that together, and it's night and day from last year. You put all of those things together, the quarterback, running back, and the wide receivers. That's the formula right there, and I feel like this is going to translate well into the defensive side of the ball because the best defense is a good offense, and vice versa. You know, if the defense can sit there and rest while the offense takes care of the load and just the time of possession, the defense comes out fresh. And if you score first, this was something Calais Campbell would preach. He would prefer that we score first. Granted, in like 2018, 2017, the defensive unit was our best unit, so we send them out first. Doug Marrone had no problem with that. Oh, we'll defer to the second half. But you don't get a stop, and the defense allows the other team to score. You're playing from behind the whole game. I don't think Urban's going to have it with that. He's not going to want to play from behind. He's going to want to control the game, either run the ball down your throat or just, like I said, change up so many alignments and packages just to keep you on your toes. So my overall prediction and outlook for the Jags in 2021, points per game, yards, third down efficiency, completion percentage, passer rating, all that tied in, the Jaguars are going to be a top 10 offense. Now, if I could name the other 9 teams, it's a bold prediction, but they'll go from not worst to first, but they'll go from worst to top tier, I guess you could say. And a top 10 offense we haven't had that in, I'd have to look into it. I don't know if the Jaguars ever had a top 10 offense in terms of total yards and points and everything. But that would translate well to the defensive side. The defense feeds off of the offense. And so we'll talk about that next week. But overall, my outlook for the Jags offense is insane. Definitely better than the defensive side, which, like I said, I will get into next week. But top 10, man, we're looking at a top 10 offense here in the making, if not better, if not top 5. Like, who knows? We have one of the softer schedules, especially in the front end of it. These stats could be padded right out the gate. Like, Trevor could go for 5 touchdowns week 1, and that rookie record is within reach by the bye week. So I'm excited, and I'm happy to see where this team is going, especially on the offensive side of the ball, coming from just a lackluster offense last year. So now I'm going to move on to answering some questions if there's any in the chat. So Theo, he asked, do you have a season prediction for this upcoming year? I'm going to assume by season prediction you mean like record-wise. And I did a previous video on that. I believe it was titled 2021 Season Prediction. I gave the Jaguars a 9-8 record. I said it was an easier schedule this year. I think it is going to favor us a lot, but it does get tougher on the back end, especially in I think it's November and December. It just gets real tough with the road games, traveling to LA and Seattle and New England, and I don't know, it's just tough. But I give them a 9-8. It's super generous for a team that just won 1 game last year. But yeah, that's my prediction for them. So I hope y'all enjoyed listening to the offensive outlook for this year. Next Friday at 6 p.m., around 6 p.m., I'll do the defensive outlook. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Those of you who hopped in chat, those of you who subscribed, liked the video, all that today, I appreciate it as I get this channel to grow. I'll catch y'all next time. And don't forget, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. I'll catch y'all next time.